Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the second book of Samuel. Then it happened that Absalom, riding on a mule, met the servants of David. And when the mule had entered under a thick and large oak tree, his head became trapped in the oak. And while he was suspended between heaven and earth, the mule on which he had been sitting continued on. Then a certain one saw this and reported it to Joab, saying, I saw Absalom hanging from an oak. Then he took 3 lances in his hand, and he fixed them in the heart of Absalom. Now David was sitting between the 2 gates. Truly the watchman who was at the summit of the gate upon the wall, lifting up his eyes, saw a man running alone, and crying out he told the king. And the king said, If he is alone, there is good news in his mouth. And the king said to him, Pass and stand here. And when he had passed and stood still, Hushai appeared. And approaching, he said, I bear good news, my lord the king, for today the Lord has judged for you from the hand of all who had risen up against you. But the king said to Hushai, Is there peace for the boy Absalom? And responding, Hushai said to him, May the enemies of my lord the king, and all who rise against him for evil, be as the boy is. And so the king, being greatly saddened, ascended to the upper room of the gate, and he wept. And as he went, he was speaking in this manner, My son Absalom, Absalom my son, who can grant to me that I may die on your behalf? Absalom my son, Absalom. Now it was reported to Joab that the king was weeping and mourning for his son. And so the victory on that day was turned into mourning for all the people. For the people heard it said on that day, The king is grieving over his son. And the people declined to enter the city on that day, in the manner that the people were accustomed to decline if they had turned and fled from battle.
Incline your ear. Do not turn away. The watchman waits. The runner comes. The answer does not. Incline your ear, O Lord, and answer me, for I am broken and brought low. My strength has failed me in the field. My hope lies tangled in the trees. I trusted in your name. I called you Father, yet the cry still echoes unanswered. Listen, Lord, and answer me. Hear the voice that cannot Have mercy, Lord, for I call all the day. My tears have learned your name. Gladden the soul of your servant, for sorrow has made its home in me. I lift my soul your footsteps in the hall. I lift my soul like a father at the gate, watching the road grow dark. Listen, Lord, and answer me. Hear the voice that cannot rest. Listen, Lord, and answer me. Do not leave us in this grief. You are good, you are forgiving, you abound in mercy for all who call. Then why does the grave stay silent? Why does the child not rise? Why does the answer tarry while faith leads out on the road? Listen, listen. Lord, we are poor and afflicted. Lord, we are waiting. Lord, we are calling together now. Listen, Lord, and answer us. Say your people as one voice. Listen, Lord, and answer us. Do not pass us by. Listen, Lord, and answer us. From the depths we lift our plea. Listen, Lord, and answer us. For you alone are faithful. Incline your ear. Do not turn away.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. And when Jesus had crossed in the boat over the strait again, a great crowd came together before him, and he was near the sea. And one of the rulers of the synagogue, named Jairus, approached, and seeing him, he fell prostrate at his feet, and he beseeched him greatly, saying, "For my daughter is near the end. Come and lay your hand on her, so that she may be healthy and may live." And he went with him, and a great crowd followed him, and they pressed upon him. And there was a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years, and she had endured much from several physicians, and she had spent everything she owned with no benefit at all, but instead she became worse. Then, when she had heard of Jesus, she approached through the crowd behind him, and she touched his garment. For she said, "Because if I touch even his garment, I will be saved." And immediately the source of her bleeding was dried up, and she sensed in her body that she had been healed from the wound. And immediately Jesus, realizing within himself that power that had gone out from him, turning to the crowd, said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see that the crowd presses around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see the woman who had done this. Yet truly, the woman, in fear and trembling, knowing what had happened within her, went and fell prostrate before him, and she told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be healed from your wound." While he was still speaking, they arrived from the ruler of the synagogue, saying, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But Jesus, having heard the word that was spoken, said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be afraid, you need only believe." And he would not permit anyone to follow him except Peter and James and John the brother of James. And they went to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, And he saw a tumult and weeping and much wailing. And entering, he said to them, "Why are you disturbed and weeping? The girl is not dead, but is asleep." And they derided him. Yet truly, having put them all out, he took the father and mother of the girl and those who were with him, and he entered to where the girl was lying. And taking the girl by the hand, he said to her, "Talita cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And immediately the young girl rose up and walked. Now she was 12 years old, and they were suddenly struck with a great astonishment. And he instructed them sternly so that no one would know about it, and he told them to give her something to eat. Join us for today's reflection. David won. His army crushed the rebellion. 20,000 men lay dead in the forest of Ephraim. The throne was secure. The civil war was over. And the king covered his face and wept, "My son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you." This is not the cry of a victorious king. This is the howl of a shattered father. Absalom had done everything in his power to destroy David, stolen hearts through flattery, raised an army, publicly violated David's concubines, hunted his own father like an animal, and David's final instruction before the battle, "Be gentle with the young man Absalom, for my sake." The soldier who found Absalom dangling from an oak tree, his magnificent hair tangled in the branches, would not strike him, not for 10 shekels of silver, not for 1,000. The king had commanded mercy. Joab had no such scruples, 3 spears through the heart. The victory that day was turned into mourning. David got what he needed and lost what he loved. The kingdom was saved and his son was dead. This is the terrible arithmetic of a world broken by sin. Sometimes we win and it feels like losing. Sometimes we get everything we prayed for and it tastes like ashes. You know this arithmetic. The job you got that cost you the marriage, the boundary you set that ended the friendship, the surgery that worked but left you diminished, the problem solved while the relationship lay in ruins. Where do we turn when victory feels like defeat? We turn where David turned. We cry out, "Incline your ear, O Lord, and answer me, for I am poor and needy." David does not come to God from strength. He does not remind God of his accomplishments. He comes empty-handed, broken, desperate. And here is the stunning promise: "You, O Lord, are good and forgiving, abounding in kindness to all who call upon you." Good and forgiving. David was not innocent in this disaster. His own sin with Bathsheba had set these dominoes falling, yet he dares to call God forgiving, because God is not keeping score. God is not waiting for us to deserve mercy. Now look at what Jesus does. Jairus was a synagogue official. His 12-year-old daughter was dying. He fell at Jesus' feet and begged, "Please come, lay your hands on her so she may live." And Jesus went with him. But the crowd pressed close, and somewhere in that pushing multitude, a woman reached out and touched the edge of his cloak. She had been bleeding for 12 years. The same amount of time Jairus' daughter had been alive, this woman had been dying by inches, spent everything on doctors, ritually unclean, cut off, untouchable. She thought if she could just touch his garment, she would be healed, and she was right. But Jesus stopped. "Your daughter is dying, Jairus. Every second counts, and the healer is standing in the middle of the road asking who touched him. Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, messengers arrived. "Do not trouble the teacher any longer. The little girl has died, too late. The delay that brought healing to one brought death to another," or so it seemed. Jesus turned to the anguished father. "Do not be afraid, just believe. Just believe. Your daughter's body is growing cold, and this rabbi tells you to believe." They arrived at the house to chaos, professional mourners wailing. Jesus walked in and said something that made everyone laugh. "The child is not dead, she is asleep." They laughed because they knew what death looked like. Jesus put them all outside. He took only the parents and 3 disciples into the room. He took the little girl's hand. "Talita cum," "Little lamb, arise," and the dead girl opened her eyes and walked around. Here is what connects these readings. In both, everything looked hopeless. David's son was dead. Jairus' daughter was dead, but there is a fundamental difference. David stood at the end of what the Old Covenant could do. He could weep for Absalom, but he could not call him back. The grave was final. Jesus stands at the dawn of something new. He has authority over disease, demons, death itself. He touched a dead child and she rose. The woman with the hemorrhage teaches us that no amount of time makes our situation hopeless. 12 years of suffering ended in one moment of faith. The raising of Jairus' daughter teaches us that not even death is final when Jesus is present. And David's grief reminds us that this world, for all its victories, still ends in tears. But the one who spoke to storms and demons, to bleeding women and dead children, has broken the power that held us all in slavery. So what dead thing in your life needs to hear, Talita Kum? What 12-year struggle has convinced you that healing is impossible? What victory has tasted like defeat, leaving you weeping when you should be celebrating? Do not be afraid, just believe. The one who called a dead girl little lamb knows your name, and he is not finished speaking life into dead places.